Hello, this is No Drinking 1000, again, to talk about strategies and to talk about the Ignition Interlock program in 2017 and beyond. First thing I want to say is, if you haven't seen my other PowerPoint presentation on YouTube, which discusses strategies on how to cheat and beat the Ignition Interlock program, I suggest you look at that video first. It's about a 30-minute video, and it's going to give you some great information. This PowerPoint presentation, however, is how the Ignition Interlock program is scamming participants in 2017 and beyond. And this is an independent review of the Ignition Interlock program and how it is taking advantage of the participants in the program. Now, those folks that are in the program currently, or those folks that are about to get into the program, or those folks who have recently graduated the program, can speak to this. I surely graduated from the program and can talk to this, but I will say this, that every state is different. Some states are worse, some states are better. And I will talk about this in the upcoming slides. Again, this is my opinion. I do not represent your state. I do not represent your state's motor vehicle association. I do not represent manufacturers, Ignition Interlock manufacturers, installers, attorneys, the court, or anyone else. These are my own personal views. But I believe strongly in what I'm about to say, and I want to say this information to you to protect yourself during this entire process. When you get pulled over for drinking and driving, and you have to go to court, okay, or you have to go to your Department of Motor Vehicles, and they determine that you have to have the Ignition Interlock device, whether you met the qualification for the device or the judge told you that part of the requirements, whether through probation before judgment or for whatever reason, you have to participate in the Ignition Interlock device. You need to know certain things that the state is not going to necessarily tell you. You're going to get a letter, and it's going to say, here are the program requirements. It's going to be a 30,000-foot view description of the program. And it's going to tell you in the letter that you're going to receive what is allowed and what is not allowed, okay? And you should read this document closely, okay? No one sits down with you. Your attorney many times does not sit down with you and discusses what's in the document, okay? And what you need to know is that the state has basically put a device in your car, and they're doing two things. Number one, they do not want you drinking and driving, period, okay? So in your state, your legal limit for driving while intoxicated might be a .08. In your state, it might be lower than that, but let's just say a .08. But to participate in this program, you might be a .025. You can't drive over a .025 or the car will shut down. In your state, you might have a .01, or you might have a .00 based on the terms of the judge's ruling. So you got to know this going in. And the state is not trying, they're doing two things. They want to stop you from drinking and driving, that's number one. But number two, they're not necessarily trying to help you in stopping drinking and driving. What they want to do is capture information about you when you break the agreement to use it against you so you get back in court. I'm going to repeat that again. Number one, they want to keep you off the road when you're drinking. That's number one. But number two, they want to get information on you that they can use to prosecute you again. And this is something that you need to be aware of. And this is something that's not really told to you by your attorney. It's not told to you by the state. But I'm telling you as an advocate that they're trying to capture information on you through the Ignition Interlock as you blow into it. If you're only supposed to be a .025 or a .01 and you blow into it, and you're a .07 or you're a .05 or you're a .03, you say, oh, okay, I can't drive, good. The machine is working. The machine is working, great. But no, that's not all it's doing. It's going to file a report back to your Department of Motor Vehicles, or even worse, it's going to file a report back to the state, to the courthouse. And you're going to end up in front of the judge, again, perhaps in violation of your agreement. Now, when you get pulled over for drinking and driving and you're arrested, many of you, most of you, are going to get an attorney. And your attorney is going to tell you what you can expect when you go to court. They're going to give you a range. They're going to say you could go to jail for, X, or you could get probation before judgment, or you could be found not guilty. They're also going to tell you that you may be in the Ignition Interlock program. And many of you who are looking at this PowerPoint presentation on YouTube have already been entered in the Ignition Interlock program in your state, okay? There's a couple things you need to know. Number one, many of the attorneys that you see are going to recommend, based on your case, they're going to recommend that you participate in an alcohol program. This program is supposed to, help you in drinking, and it's going to, it may be, Alcoholics Anonymous, it may be a special program in your county, in your city, in your jurisdiction. There's going to be a program that your attorney's going to recommend you to go to. They're going to recommend that you go to this class, perhaps, even before you go to court. And their reasoning for this is to say, listen, I know I was drinking and driving, I know I messed up, and I've already taken the steps to rectify the situation. I already know I have some issues and some problems. And look, Judge, I'm already in a class. So you should be light with me. You should be happy that I've taken this class. And therefore, you shouldn't find me guilty. And you should say that this guy's really trying to help himself. When in actuality, that's not what's going on. first of all, your attorney, okay, that you've hired, is in cahoots. Okay, not cahoots. They've partnered up with the alcohol classes, the counselors, okay, to refer you to them. These courses are expensive. Okay, they could be thousands of dollars to take an alcohol-related course that your attorney is recommending. And because they've recommended you to this counselor, to this company that's going to have these classes that you're going to sit in, okay, they're going to get a referral fee. So if you go to these classes here, and your attorney says, oh, go to these people right here, and you go there, and they say, okay, this class is going to cost $2,500, okay, they're going to get a 25%, a 30% referral fee for sending you to that class. Now, if you let it ride, and you go see the judge, and the judge says, you know what, you need to take an alcohol-related class. And you say, okay. And you say, well, what does the court recommend? They'll probably recommend a class that's going to cost you $250 to take. And maybe only a couple $100 to take that class. As opposed to taking a class that's recommended by your attorney, where your attorney is getting a cut of the action. This is why it's very important to understand that you're getting in, because you've been found drinking and driving, that it is now about taking money out of your wallet. It's about draining your bank account. It's about participating in a program where attorneys, counselors, interlock manufacturers, and installers are thirsty, alcohol thirsty for your business. And you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself from the state. You have to protect yourself from the attorneys. You have to protect yourself from the counselors. You have to protect yourself from the installers. You have a whole group of people to protect yourself. Now, the state has an interest in this as well. They want to protect themselves from drunk drivers driving on the road. And I think all of us can agree that that is very noble, that we were caught drinking and driving, and they don't want us on the road because we could hurt people. And that's fair. And that's reasonable. And you can make the case that the ignition interlock device is a fair tool to put in your car to stop you from drinking and driving. But what's not fair is the way that they've allowed the industry to take advantage of us. And this whole program is to take as much money as they legally can out of your pocket. And also to get evidence on you to keep you in the program so you keep spending money in the worst states around the country. The attorneys like when you have to go in front of the judge for, I would say, minimal infractions of the program. You're in front of the judge at the mercy of the judge, and you're paying your attorneys thousands and thousands of dollars to have to be there with you in a violation of the Interlock Ignition agreement that you made with your Department of Motor Vehicles or with the judge during your hearing. Okay, let's talk about this word called probation. So you've been pulled over for drinking and driving. And let's say you've been drinking a lot. You blew into the breathalyzer, and they found out that your blood alcohol level was high. It was a 0.15. You know, it was a high level. Maybe in your state, the legal limit is 0.08, and you were swerving on the road, and you couldn't pass the field sobriety test. You fell all over the place, and your blood alcohol level was a 0.15. It was higher, whatever it was, okay? And so you go to the attorney, and the attorney says, oh, you could be thrown in jail, and all these terrible things can happen to you, and you're really stressed, and God, you've never really gone to jail before. You never have been in the criminal justice system before. You were drinking and driving, and you were caught. Maybe you are a criminal, but let's say you're not in this case. You're scared to death. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You go see the judge, and the judge says, you know what? I'm not going to find you guilty. I'm going to give you probation. Probation before judgment. And I'm going to require, if you agree to this, that we're going to put the ignition interlock into your car for 6 months or a year. We're also going to say you have to go to an alcohol-related class. And if you meet all these conditions, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the charges against you. And you can have it expunged. Now, when you hear these words from the judge, you are going to be relieved. And let me tell you, most people who hear this are so thankful. And I will tell you, unless you have, circumstances where you were really mad at the officer, or if you're a repeat offender, 3 or 4 times, most of you are going to get a probation, okay? In fact, with the ignition interlock device now, judges want to put you in the program because let me tell you, probation in the ignition interlock program is setting you up, and you need to know this. You have no choice. You have to agree to the terms. But when most people go, and I'm not a criminal, okay? Although I was pulled over and arrested for drinking and driving, I don't consider myself a criminal, okay? But most times what judges will do for criminals who committed crimes, robbery or stealing or something along those lines, they may suspend the sentence. They might say, okay, you guys serve 6 months in jail, and they'll suspend the sentence, and then they'll say, we'll give you probation for 3 years. And the probation says that don't get in any trouble, and you won't be in violation of your probation. This probation is 1,000 times harder, because in your state, the legal limit, the blood alcohol limit for drinking and driving, intoxicated for drinking and driving might be a 0.08. But in this program, you might have a 0.025, you might have a 0.01, you might have a 0.00. So not only do they say, don't drink and drive with the regular rules, they say, no, you can't drink and drive, period. Which, to me, is a setup, okay? I know this, because I participated in the program. Now, it's legal to drink and drive. You can drink and drive. It is legal to do that in all 50 states. You can drink and drive. You cannot drink and drive intoxicated. And there's specific rules and specific blood alcohol levels that you have to hit to be in violation of the drinking and driving laws in your state. By being in the probation, the Ignition Interlock program, you've given away your right to drink and drive at all. Basically, it's either a .025, a .01, or a .00. That is cold turkey, and they're setting you up. Now, you don't have a choice. You have to take the probation. The judge is giving you an out because you got to get this stuff removed from your record. You want it to eventually get expunged. But the program is not keeping you off the road. Yes, it's keeping you off the road for drinking and driving, but it's also setting you up to put you in jail, to make you pay additional monies to your attorney, to take more alcohol-related classes, and to ultimately keep you into the program until you finally realize that you can't drink and drive, period. Which is unfair, because the rules are, in your state, it's a .08, it's a .06, it's a .04. You can have some drinks. But this probation goes further than other states who commit other crimes. It's unfair. You need to know this. So when you get in the program, you've got to really change your behaviors. This is why so many people get caught driving other cars that don't have the ignition interlock device installed in that car. And you can look at the dockets of all the states in the country, and the counties, and the jurisdictions, and the cities, and you can see violations of the ignition interlock program. And a lot of those violations are for people who are participating in the program, who have the ignition interlock installed in their car, but they're driving another car. And that tells me that the programs have gone too far, that people are willing to risk it because they have made the probation and the law specific to make you fail. This is why the recidivism rate is so high. And this is why we need to band together and to push back on the rules. Now, I'm not saying you should drink and drive. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be on the road if you're drinking and driving and you're intoxicated. But they can't let your next door neighbor get in a car at a .07 and you have to be a .00. That's unfair. Okay? The guy next to you who was, punched a person, okay? Their probation says don't punch any more people. It doesn't say they have to jump on one foot for 2 hours and do all this other stuff. It's unfair. So I want you to be aware that the probation is stacked against you and you have to be on your best behavior in the program. So let me review at a summary level some of the things that I just said. Number one, the Ignition Interlock program is becoming big money for the industry. Those are the groups that support the Ignition Interlock program. Okay, these are attorneys, counselors, Ignition Interlock manufacturers, and installers. They are making big money off this industry. Okay, and they don't have to, but the way that the laws are being passed, when Mothers Against Drunk Driving and other groups say, hey, look, we've got to stop drinking and driving, we need the Ignition Interlock program, then, there's rules and laws that come before your state legislature, okay? And it comes in front of the governor, and they all have to agree. It has to be passed through the legislature, and then it's signed by your governor. When all this happens, there's attorneys that are involved, and these attorneys are looking out for themselves to make sure that they get a cut of the money as you go through the program, okay? Likewise, counselors have groups, and they're making sure that you're going to these alcohol-related classes, okay, again and again and again so they can get paid. The Ignition Interlock manufacturers are lobbying as well, making sure that their devices are available for you to choose in those states. And in fact, many of these installers, these manufacturers, have been able to successfully argue that cameras be put in your car. Okay? So now you've got cameras in your car in addition to the ignition interlock device. Why? Because they want to make it for the worst offender ever who would allow their friend or someone else to blow in the machine, so they know that it's the person who is actually in the program who's actually breathing into the machine. And let me tell you, it's big business. And the ignition interlock manufacturers, at some point, are going to lobby that they are installed in all cars in the United States. Why? Because they're going to make more money. Okay? It's happening. It's going to happen. Okay? And because it's such a big business, and because they don't really want you to leave the program, okay, you have to protect yourself. Okay? You have to protect yourself. Okay, let's just take a look. And I'm not mad at Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Those mothers lost children, family members, husbands who were killed from drinking and driving. And I agree with them at most of the things that they say I agree with. They don't want drunk drivers on the road. Why? Because drunk drivers have killed their family members, friends, family. And some of you killed these people, and you need to serve time, you need to pay restitution. You are wrong, okay? But they've taken that person, that man, that woman who killed that innocent person, and they've extended that to everyone. And it's really taken away our rights as citizens. Now, let me tell you something. I just want to bring this up as an example. Chicago, the city of Chicago, there's a lot of violence in Chicago. It's one of the worst cities to be in certain parts, not all parts of Chicago, but on the south side and the west side, folks are getting killed. It's crazy. They're being killed by guns. 600-700 people a year are being killed by guns, okay? That's not even to mention all the people who just got shot that weren't killed. They were saved. They may be, forever disabled. They may be maimed. I don't hear Mothers Against Drunk Driving or a whole bunch of groups really upset that people around the United States, especially Chicago, are being shot by guns. I don't see the National Rifle Association, and I'm not trying to make a political statement here, but I'm just trying to say there's not that much lobbying going on here, okay, when it comes to gun violence. But when it comes to drinking and driving, I want to tell you that the states, the lobbying groups, the legislature, the governors are under extreme pressure, okay, to stop you from drinking and driving. And it puts the alcohol distributors, Budweiser, Sam Adams, Heineken, whatever alcoholic drink, they have to be very careful in how they approach this because they don't want to come across as being insensitive to serious drunk drivers who are on the road who are committing fatalities and serious injuries. So, but I want you to be aware of this. I want you to know that the states have gone too far with this, and you have to be very vigilant while you're in the program. You have to get through it on the first time and get out of it. And there's strategies that I do provide. Please go look at my ways to beat the Ignition Interlock program. There's a link that I'll provide here that you can go and you can see the other PowerPoint presentations in about 30 minutes. There's a couple other things that I do want to say is they do want to keep you in the program for perpetuity. That means they want to keep you in the program forever. They have no problems with it. And this will drain your pocketbook. It'll take away your life savings. You won't be able to pay for your health care when you get older. You won't be able to send your kids to college. You won't be able to do the things that you want to when you get older because you're paying all your money in this program. The blood alcohol levels to be in this program are too low. If your next door neighbor can drive at a .07 and you can drive at a .00, I think that's too hard. Okay? Now, if you're a third offender or fourth offender of the program, you just don't get it, then take away the license. But here's the problem. Those folks that are repeat offenders, they'll just take away your license. Okay? They'll say, you know what, John Doe, we're taking away your license because you're a repeat offender. You can't drive at all. Period. And you say, but sir, I got to go to work. They say, I don't care. You violated the program. And let me tell you what those people do. Let me tell you what those people exactly do. They get in the car and they drive. Why? Because they need to drive. They got to go to the grocery store. They got to get toilet paper. They got to go to work. They got to drive their kids to school. They got to go where they got to go. And they can't take the bus. Maybe they're not in the city. And here's the other thing to know. In Chicago and New York, Cleveland, Baltimore, Atlanta, Oakland, okay, these towns have real crime. Okay, they got real crime. And in those towns, you don't see high rates of drinking and driving. Why? Because the police are not spending their time trying to look for drinkers and drivers. They've got real crime to deal with. They got people shooting each other and killing each other and stabbing each other. They've got rape and robbery. Real crime. Okay, I'm not saying drinking and driving is not real crime. Okay, it is a crime. But I want to put it in perspective. Many of you have been caught drinking and driving in jurisdictions that are outside the city, in the suburbs and rural areas. And in the suburbs and in rural areas, you need to be extremely careful about the police and them monitoring you because they don't have high crime rates in those areas, so they're looking for other ways to put you in jail to service the industry. Remember, attorneys got to make money in good times and bad times. And one way in which they can make some money is to catch you driving from an event, leaving the bar, leaving that, Buffalo Wild Wings, or wherever you're coming from, and you've been drinking and driving. They will pull you over the road, pull you off the road, charge you, and have you go through the criminal justice system. Be careful. They're looking for you. They need the business, and they're going to be extra hard on you. So the final thing I want to say is that we need support groups. We need to band together to protect ourselves and our interests. And so I would very much like you to email me and say that you would like to participate in the program. And I'm actually putting together a list. And by the end of this year, I'd like to have a couple hundred people who would like to participate in a support group that we can work together. Doesn't matter where you are in the United States. We can meet once a week, okay, virtually, over the internet. And we can discuss strategies on how to work together to complete the program. Fairly, not cheating, strategies, support, help. We can work together as a team. So listen to this, read this, and tell me what you think. So here are my final thoughts. I hope this helps. This is my opinion of the program. I'm not representing anyone. I'm not trying to make any money. I would like to hear from you if you have some thoughts, ideas, or suggestions. I would like to put together a support group. This is a difficult program, and people need help. And the recidivism rate is high. And we need to work together as a group to help people get through this program. So good luck, my friend. I wish you all the best. Complete this program. Go through it. It's going to help you. Okay? Do not try to cheat the program. You can't cheat it. Just go through the program. Get through it the first time. If you failed it the first time, then get through it. I don't care what time you're on. Just get through it this time and be done with it. And please, I'd love to hear from you at nodrinking1000@gmail.com.